Welcome back to my channel, everyone, and be calm, try not to panic, but yes, it is true. Six of Crows is coming to Netflix, and I have in front of me this article, and I want to read a little bit of it, and I want to talk a little bit about it, and I want to kind of get everyone to share their ideas and thoughts about what they hope to see in the Netflix show, from like the books or like what they hope that happens or whatever with the whole situation. So let's get on with this article. It's entitled Netflix Orders Shadow and Bone series based on Leigh Bardugo's Grishaverse novels from Eric Heisserer and Sean Levy. So it's from Deadline Hollywood, and I'm going to link it below. So it says Netflix greenlighted Shadow and Bone, an 8-episode series based on Leigh Bardugo's best-selling Shadow and Bone and Six of Crows Grishaverse fantasy novels. So Eric Heisserer he wrote Bird Box, which that was on Netflix, and Sean Levy, he was the executive producer on Stranger Things. So already we have two very strong people involved in this, in the creation of this, which gives me a little bit of hope. I am a little bit nervous, to be honest, because I usually don't like the adaptations and whatnot from like books to movies or TV shows or whatever. But I am happy that they're doing it in a TV format, versus TV show format versus a movie, because I think movies just chop out way too much, especially since what they're doing is they're combining two different stories, which also makes me nervous because I'm like, how are you going to do that? So what I'm hoping they don't do, what I'm really hoping they don't do, is combine like multiple books into the first season. I think this needs to be a multiple season thing. You can't just cram, because there's so much in Six of Crows, and I haven't read Shadow and Bone, her other story, which I have to read before this comes out, but I haven't read those. So what I'm really hoping they don't do is try to cram the entirety of Six of Crows and the entirety of that story, because I'm sure, knowing her, there's going to be a lot of stuff in it. Try to cram both of those into only 8 episodes, because they don't really say like how long the episodes are. I'm going to assume it's probably going to be around I don't know, like maybe an hour or so long. Let's see, what else does it say? So it says it's going to take place in the Grishaverse, obviously, in a world cleaved into by a massive barrier of perpetual darkness, where unnatural creatures feast on human flesh. A young soldier uncovers a power that might finally unite her kingdom, but as she struggles to hone her power, dangerous forces plot against her. Thugs, thieves, assassins, and saints are at war now, and it will take more than magic to survive. So that's kind of the summary of it. So they don't really say when it's coming out, which is a little disappointing. Maybe another article does, but I don't see it on here. Well, let's talk a little bit about like what we hope to see from this show. And I'm talking about it primarily from the Six of Crows aspect, because that's how I came to know Leigh Bardugo. That's how I came to, be introduced into the Grishaverse. I haven't read any of her other work yet. I'm planning on it, but I haven't as of yet. So I'm just going to be talking about it from the Six of Crows aspect. They really need to capture, I hope it's more focusing on the Six of Crows, to be honest, because I have heard that the characters in Shadow and Bone aren't as interesting. But maybe that's just people's biased opinions, and I don't know. I can't say for certain, but I do hope they focus a little bit more on Six of Crows, because there is so much in that story, and the characters are so deep. And the fact that there's 6 main characters in Six of Crows means that there's tons of potential and tons of extra screen time they can all get, and limiting it to only 8 episodes for 2 massive books, I think is a really risky move. I don't know how I feel about that. I think it can be done. I think it can be done well, but it also makes me nervous because so many things could go wrong so quickly. Another thing they have to be really careful of in terms of Six of Crows is that these characters need to have like accurate representation. So for instance, Inej is supposed to be like, an ethnic person. They need to have that. I swear if they have just like someone else, I'm gonna lose my mind. But anyway, moving on from that, because, and also, oh, what is her name? Nina. Oh my goodness. in the book, her character was kind of annoying sometimes, but the overall character was just so good. They have to capture that correctly. And even with like Jesper or Matthias, like they have to get those. But let's not forget the one that they cannot screw up. And if they screw it up, I really will go burn something to the ground. And that is Kaz Brekker. And I swear, if they screw it up, will not be good. So Kaz, the things that you have to remember about him is that he is a very, very tortured soul, but not in an obnoxious, like, oh, he's so, you know, I don't know, angsty and whatever. He is a very strong character. He doesn't let his weaknesses affect him really in any big way. But there is a vulnerability about him that needs to be captured. And I swear, if they just go in and have him like just slaughtering people left and right, doing all these horrible things, like yes, he did kill a lot of people, and yes, he didn't care about killing people, but he always killed someone with a purpose. Like he never just like slaughtered random people. And I think a lot of stories, when they're trying to capture that ruthless, you know, I don't care about anything kind of attitude, is that they just have this person just slaughter everyone around them for no reason. And that to me takes away the importance of those deaths. Because when Kaz did kill someone, when he chose that it was his time to kill someone, like you knew it was serious. You knew that it was important. You knew that it had something to do with the rest of the book. But a lot of stories, a lot of movies, especially movies, when they have those really cool bad guys who are just like so ruthless and aloof and they don't care about anything and they're tortured and whatever, they end up just killing random people for no reason, which then makes it seem like, okay, so no one's death means anything. And it also makes this person seem like less calculated, because a lot of times there's like issues that there's consequences to those people being killed. But Kaz always like considered every consequence to his actions, and I think that's what made his character so strong and so scary too, is that he knew everything and he calculated everything. And they can't chop that out. That's a very, very important part of the book and of his character. Also, I'm concerned about the story, the plot, because Six of Crows has a very focused plot, right? It's like you're getting to this castle, to this fortress that no one's ever been able to break in or out of. The only people who can do this are these 6 random outcasts, you know? Not really random, but these 6 outcasts, and they have to get in there, rescue this guy, and get back out. So that right there is already kind of, it sounds simple, but there's so much complexity to it, because the fortress has never been broken into. It's never been broken out of. How are they going to do 2 impossible things, and how are they going to all survive? That's where it becomes very intense, and that's where it becomes very, I don't know, just very complex. And I don't know about Shadow and Bone, because like I said, I haven't read that. But my concern is, that book is also going to be pretty complex, because it seems like the author loves to have complex plots, which is fantastic. That's great. But if you have 2 really intense plots, how are you going to like combine them together? You know what I'm saying? So it says here, when it talks about the like summary of whatever it is, the show, that it's going to be, so it's cleaved, the world is cleaved in 2 by a massive barrier of perpetual darkness where unnatural creatures feast on human flesh. A young soldier uncovers a power that might finally unite her country. So I'm assuming she's probably a Grisha. But as she struggles to hone her power, dangerous forces plot against her. Thugs, thieves, assassins, and saints are at war now, and it will take more than magic to survive. So I'm wondering if this warrior that they're talking about, this soldier, is a whole different character outside of Shadow and Bone and Six of Crows, and that's the one who's going to combine them. Like, her journey to rescue her country, her nation, whatever, is going to take her to both Shadow and Bone universe and the Six of Crows universe, like to Ketterdam and like to all that area. And that's how she's going. And but that makes me nervous, because that means that most of the characters, like Kaz Brekker and all of the others, and the rest of the outcasts, they're going to be like side characters, which I don't know how I feel about that, if that's what they're planning on doing with it. Or, when I first read this, my first thought was, oh, it's Nina, but then I was like, wait, Shadow and Bone probably has its own characters too, so it could be a character from Shadow and Bone as well. That's the problem with me not knowing, and that's why I need you guys in the comments to tell me. but no spoilers because I haven't read that one yet. And the unnatural creatures feast on human flesh. Is that going to be like, you know how in Six of Crows, like the scientists were like dabbling around. This is not spoiler. This is like the whole premise of the book. Like they're dabbling with how to make the Grisha like super weaponized and whatever. Is that what it's supposed to be? Is that what it's supposed to be? Oh, I don't know. Oh, but see, this is where I get really nervous because I think it could be really good and I think it could be really bad. And I'm scared because I love this book so much and I love this, you know, the duology so much that, ooh, I hope it doesn't get screwed up. And that's also makes me curious is that I know Shadow and Bone, well, I'm pretty sure Shadow and Bone has other books. Let me just look up really fast. Yeah, so it looks like Shadow and Bone has 3 books. It has Shadow and Bone, Siege and Storm, and Ruin and Rising. So it's a trilogy versus a duology, and Six of Crows is a duology. It has Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom, and those two, they are just so good, and they're so united. See, this is why I'm like, don't do mashups, don't do crossovers, like unless you're Marvel and you can set everything up with like movie after movie after movie. No, like yes, you can. This is what actually would be cool, and this is where I'm gonna go off on a little bit of a tangent, and like none of this is prepared. So what I think would be cool is if you had like one Netflix show, almost like how the CW does it with like all their Flash and Arrow and this and that and whatever, where you have, you know, Shadow and Bone, that series going on, and then you have a separate Netflix show of Six of Crows, because there's so much. You could have season after season after season of these characters, because you could dissect the books so much, and then you could have like a crossover show or a crossover season where the 2 shows combine and like do all this cool stuff together in a whole separate story outside of the books. And I think that's where the author can come into play, where she could be like, hey, this is what we're going to do, this is what we're going to do, and she can make it so it's all still makes sense, and that they're taking creative liberties, yes, but the characters are still the characters, so we get more of those people doing cool stuff instead of just reading about it, which reading about it is amazing, obviously, but if you're going to create a TV show or like a Netflix show, I think it really you need to have some extensions. You need to do other things. It can't just be 100% the books. Otherwise, there's no point to watching it, really. I mean, there is, but at the same time, if you're just going to be seeing scene by scene what happened in the book, there's not really anything extra to see. So I think they should start off with scene by scene recreation of the book, but then they should just branch off and do their own season of these same characters, staying true to what the characters would do, doing another storyline, doing another plot line, and during that plot line there can be a mesh up of Shadow and Bone and Six of Crows, and that's where you can have this random warrior come along and save her nation or whatever. And I think that's what could be cool. But it sounds like, reading about the plot line of Shadow and Bone, no spoilers, but the plot line, it almost sounds like, so it says, Alina struggles to fit in with her new life. A threat to the kingdom of Ravka grows, one that will test old alliances and challenge the very limits of magic, one that will forge a leadership from a frightened girl. So I'm wondering if she's going to be the warrior. I'm really wondering if she's going to be the warrior. Which is fine, but I'm just like, I don't know, part of me is like a little bit biased because, you know, Six of Crows is my baby and I love it to death. And I kind of think Six of Crows would be the stronger story to follow. Like, let me see. So I'm looking at Amazon currently, but let me go to Goodreads and I'm going to see which series had like higher ratings because I am petty and I want to see this. So we're going to my Goodreads and we're going to look up Six of Crows and see the average rating. So Six of Crows has a 4.46 rating, and Shadow and Bone we're just going to look at the first book and just kind of compare the first books. Has a 4.04. So yes, the stronger book, as you know, shown by the Goodreads readers, is the Six of Crows is a superior book. So I mean, they're both really high up there though, like, let's be honest. But let's be honest. Okay, so basically, to sum this up, I think that Six of Crows is the stronger book, just from what I've heard from other people who have read the Shadow and Bone. They say it's not as good as Six of Crows, and I mean, they said it's really good, but it's just not as good as Six of Crows. So I think they should be focusing more on Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom versus Shadow and Bone. So it sounds like, based off of the summary of the story, Shadow and Bone, and what the article says the Netflix show is going to be about. I can't speak today at all. I apologize. With their warrior lady who's going around uniting her country and honing her power. It sounds like it's going to be a Shadow and Bone focused show with Six of Crows characters just kind of like popping in the background. I hope that's not what it is, but that's what it kind of sounds like, and I'm scared. But the one thing that kind of gives me hope, well, I mean, there's a couple things that give me hope, but the one thing that I'm kind of focusing on is the fact that the writer from Bird Box and the executive producer from Stranger Things, they're involved, and those are two strong people, I think. And also the author Leigh Bardugo is very involved as well, which also gives me hope, because usually when the authors are very, very involved, they tend to do like the TV, movie, whatever, the film adaptation tends to do much better. So those are my thoughts on this article and this news that Netflix is taking Shadow and Bone and Six of Crows and meshing it all together and creating an 8-episode season of it. But let me know what you guys think of it, because I know there's going to be different thoughts about it, and I want to hear what you guys think, and I love it when people get together and talk about books and all kinds of fun stuff like that. So please let me know in the comments below what you think, what you want to see in the show, and what you also think all this stuff means. So anyway, I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.